Hey guys, tonight we slip into the gaslit streets of 1840s London, where the Victorian elite toss and turn in their canopied beds, chasing sleep that refuses to come. Picture yourself there. The air smells of coal smoke and lavender. Carriage wheels clatter on cobblestones, and somewhere a clock chimes midnight. The wealthy, draped in silk nightgowns, stare at ceilings, their minds buzzing from too much tea or too many worries about empire and etiquette. Insomnia, it turns out, doesn't care about your title or bank account. You're just as sleepless as the factory worker down the lane. Good luck surviving a week without nodding off in your soup at some grand dinner party. So, before you get comfortable, take a moment to like the video and subscribe, but only if you genuinely enjoy what I do here. Drop a comment with your city and local time. I'm curious where you're drifting off from. Now, dim the lights, maybe turn on a fan for that soft background hum, and let's ease into tonight's journey together. You're in London, 1843, and sleep is a luxury even the rich can't buy. The Victorian era, often romanticized for its elegance, is a nightmare for shut-eye. Factories belch smoke, streets hum with hawkers, and the upper crust live in a constant whirl of social obligations. Queen Victoria herself reportedly grumbled about restless nights, though her doctors blamed nervous excitement rather than the era's chaos. The elite, obsessed with health and propriety, see insomnia as a mark of refinement, proof their minds are too active for mere slumber, but it's torture. You lie in a mahogany bed, the ticking of a pocket watch mocking your wakefulness, while your spouse snores obliviously. Servants tiptoe past, afraid to disturb your misery. Why is sleep so elusive? Historians point to the Industrial Revolution's upheaval. Gaslighting stretches evenings, letting you read or fret past midnight. Coffee and tea, now staples, keep your nerves jangling, and the pressure to uphold a perfect public image. Balls, banquets, business, leaves you wired, a quirky tidbit. Some aristocrats blame their sleeplessness on vapors, mysterious bodily mists they swear rise from their stomachs to cloud their brains. Doctors nod sagely. Prescribing bizarre cures we'll soon explore. Historians still argue whether these vapors were real ailments or just anxiety dressed up in fancy terms. Spoiler, it's probably the latter, but try telling that to a duchess clutching her smelling salts. You wander Mayfair's mansions, peering into lives where sleep is a battle. The elite don't just want rest, they want it to be scientific, fashionable, even moral. Enter the sleep industry. Apothecaries, inventors, and self-styled doctors hawk remedies, from potions to contraptions. Some work, most don't. A lord might spend a fortune on a cure that leaves him drowsier than a carriage ride through the countryside. You smirk at their desperation, but admit it, you've scrolled through sleep apps at 2 a.m., chasing the same dream. The Victorians, for all their oddities, aren't so different. Their world is loud, bright, and relentless, and they're just trying to find a way to close their eyes. Picture yourself at a society dinner, eyelids drooping, as a baron drones on about railways. You're not alone. Insomnia stories pepper diaries of the time. Ladies fanning themselves to stay awake, gentlemen sneaking naps in their clubs. One eccentric earl, desperate for rest, reportedly slept in a hammock strung between his chandeliers, claiming the sway mimicked a ship's cradle. It didn't work, but points for style. The elite's obsession with sleep spawns a culture of comparison. Who's got the best remedy, the most luxurious bed? You're about to dive into their strangest solutions, from opium to electrified pillows. But for now, you linger in their world, feeling the weight of their sleepless nights, the ticking clocks, the endless quest for peace. You're still in 1840s London, the gas lamps flickering outside as you, a weary aristocrat, reach for a small glass bottle on your bedside table. Its label reads, laudanum, and in this sleepless world it's the elite's go-to for chasing dreams. The liquid inside, opium dissolved in alcohol, gleams darkly, promising a soft descent into slumber. You hesitate, swirling the bottle, because even the posh know this stuff's a gamble. One drop too many, and you're not waking up for tomorrow's tea party. Yet, for the Victorian upper crust, laudanum is as common as a calling card, and you're about to find out why it's both savior and scandal. Laudanum's grip on high society is no secret. By the 1840s, it's a mainstream cure, prescribed by doctors for everything from insomnia to toothaches. Queen Victoria's own physician reportedly kept a stash, though whether she indulged is murky. Her diaries only hint at restless evenings. You measure out a dose, the bitter scent stinging your nose, and swallow it with a grimace. The effect is slow but sure. Your limbs grow heavy, the room softens, and that nagging worry about tomorrow's ball fades. It's no wonder the elite love this stuff. A single bottle, cheap enough for a lord's pocket, could knock out a household. But here's the catch. It's addictive, and withdrawal is a beast. You're not just buying sleep, you're signing a contract with a devil in a dropper. Now, for a quirky tidbit, some Victorians get creative with their laudanum. Ladies mix it into wine for elegant sipping at soirees, claiming it calms their nerves. Gentlemen stir it into brandy, joking it's the gentleman's lullaby. Pharmacies sell it in candy form for kids, because apparently even toddlers need to chill in 1843. You raise an eyebrow, wondering how anyone thought dosing children was a plan. Historians still argue whether laudanum's popularity was pure medical trust or a sign of society's desperation to escape its own frenetic pace. The truth likely lies in both. Doctors pushed it, and the sleepless elite lapped it up. You're in a Mayfair drawing room now, eavesdropping on a duchess who swears by her nightly laudanum ritual. She pours a precise dose, her hands steady despite the gossip about her cousin's overindulgence. Addiction stories are whispered like ghost tales. Lords losing fortunes, ladies forgetting their own names, yet the elite keep sipping, because what's the alternative? Another night staring at the wallpaper. You notice the bottle's label boasts, soothing and safe, a lie so bold it's almost funny. If you were a betting sort, you'd wager half these aristocrats are hooked. Their sleep less a gift than a chemical truce. Still, you get it. When the world's spinning with progress and parties, a drop of oblivion sounds divine. The sensory pull of laudanum is undeniable. You imagine its weight in your palm, the clink of the bottle against a silver spoon. The elite's bedrooms, with their velvet curtains and ticking clocks, feel like stages for this nightly drama. A baron might down his dose while reading Dickens, chuckling at the irony of seeking sleep in a world that never stops. You smirk, thinking of your own late-night doom-scrolling. Different poison. Same problem. Laudanum's reign, though, comes with a shadow. Doctors of the time rarely warn about dependency, and apothecaries profit by the gallon. You're left wondering if the elite are victims of bad science or their own need for control. Either way, as the drug pulls you under, you know this cure's as fleeting as the dreams it brings. You're back in the heart of 1840s London, the weight of laudanum's haze lingering as you step into the private world of a Victorian aristocrat's bedtime routine. No simple glass of warm milk for these folks. Oh no, the elite have rituals so bizarre you'd think they're auditioning for a Gothic novel. Picture yourself in a candlelit bedroom, the air thick with lavender and wax. As you follow a duchess through her nightly quest for sleep, every move is deliberate, from the way she arranges her pillows to the odd little chants she mutters. These routines aren't just habits, they're practically sacred, and you're about to try them yourself. The Victorian elite are obsessed with controlling every aspect of life, and sleep is no exception. A mainstream fact, many aristocrats follow strict hygienic schedules, dictated by doctors who claim precise bedtime rituals regulate the body's vital energies. You start with the basics, airing out the bedclothes, because stale sheets apparently invite nightmares. Then comes the foot bath, tepid water, not hot, laced with mustard powder to draw out agitation. You dip your toes, feeling ridiculous, but the Duchess insists it's science. She's not wrong. Doctors like William Banting publish guides on these routines, swearing they cure insomnia. You're skeptical, but the warm tingle is oddly soothing, like a hug from a mildly unhinged aunt. Now for the quirky bit. Some rituals border on the absurd. One lord swears by sleeping with a raw onion under his pillow, claiming its vapors calm the brain. You try it, and the smell is, let's say, memorable. Another lady rubs her temples with eel fat, insisting it grounds the spirit. You pass on that one, but you can't help chuckling. Imagine explaining eel fat to your modern skincare routine. Historians still argue whether these rituals were placebo or just desperate grabs at control in a chaotic era. The onion at least might have repelled bedbugs. So maybe that lord was onto something. You move through the routine, each step more theatrical than the last. The Duchess hands you a silk sleep mask, embroidered with her initials, to block disturbing moonbeams. Then she insists you walk exactly 12 paces around the room to settle the humors. You comply, feeling like you're in a Jane Austen novel gone rogue. The room itself is a character. Mahogany furniture, heavy drapes, a clock ticking like it's judging you. You're half expecting a ghost to pop out, but the only specter is insomnia, lurking in the shadows. The elite's obsession with ritual makes sense, though. In a world of smog and social climbing, these quirky steps are a lifeline, a way to impose order on restless nights. By the time you're tucked in, you're exhausted, not from sleep, but from the sheer effort of it all. You lie there, onion faintly pungent, wondering if this is what it takes to doze off in 1843. The Duchess, already snoring, seems content, but you're not convinced. Still, there's a charm to the absurdity, a reminder that humans have always chased sleep with whatever tools they've got. You think back to the laudanum bottle from earlier. Less weird, maybe, but far riskier. At least the onion won't ruin your life. As the candle flickers out, you're left with a grudging respect for these oddballs, fighting their sleeplessness with nothing but mustard, silk, and stubborn hope. You're still deep in 1840s London, the faint whiff of mustard from that bizarre foot bath lingering as you step into a dimly lit parlor. The air hums with a strange energy, and a man in a velvet coat gestures you toward a chair draped in wires and magnets. Welcome to the world of magnetic therapies, where the Victorian elite chase sleep with the latest scientific fad. You're skeptical. Magnets for insomnia? Really? But the aristocrats around you are all in, their eyes gleaming with hope. This is no ordinary cure. It's a blend of mysticism and machinery, and you're about to see if it delivers. the slumber it promises. Magnetism is a big deal in the Victorian era, riding the wave of scientific discovery. A mainstream fact. Doctors like John Elliotson champion animal magnetism, claiming invisible magnetic forces can balance the body's energies and cure sleeplessness. You sit in the chair, wires draped over your shoulders, as the practitioner waves a magnetized rod like he's conducting an orchestra. The idea is that these currents will soothe your frazzled nerves, lulling you into dreamland. It's not total nonsense. Early studies on magnetism influence later neurology. But you're mostly feeling like a prop in a mad scientist's play. Still, the elite love it. Dukes and countesses queue up for sessions, hoping to magnetize their way to rest. Here's the quirky tidbit. Some practitioners go overboard, selling magnetic sleep caps lined with iron filings. You try one on, and it's as comfortable as wearing a colander. The claim? It aligns your cranial fluids for deeper sleep. You stifle a laugh, picturing a baron snoring under this contraption, dreaming of magnetic sheep. Historians still argue whether these devices were pure quackery or a genuine attempt to harness new science. Most lean toward quackery, but the era's obsession with invisible forces, think electricity, ether, makes the leap to magnets less crazy than it sounds. You're just glad nobody's trying to magnetize your toothbrush. The parlor buzzes with anticipation. A lady nearby sighs as the practitioner realigns her energies, her eyelids drooping dramatically. You're not sure if she's actually sleepy or just a great actress, but the vibe is oddly calming. Candlelight, soft murmurs, the faint clink of the magnetized rod. It's like an ASMR session before ASMR was a thing. You close your eyes, letting the ritual wash over you, and for a moment you almost believe it's working. The elite's faith in magnetism isn't just about sleep, it's about clinging to progress in a world spinning too fast. You get it. When laudanum's risky and onions don't cut it, why not bet on a shiny new science? But as the session ends, you're still awake, the magnets leaving you more amused than drowsy. You step back into the London night, the gas lamps casting long shadows. The memory of that ridiculous sleep cap sticks with you, a reminder of how far people will go for a good night's rest. You think back to the Duchess's bedtime rituals, equally odd, but less metallic. The elite's quest for sleep is starting to feel like a parade of desperate experiments, each one weirder than the last. You're not sure if you're impressed or just tired from keeping up. Either way, the night's young, and there's more to explore in this sleepless city. You're trudging through 1840s London, the memory of that magnetic sleep cap still making you smirk, when you find yourself at a grand spa tucked in a quiet corner of Bath. The air smells of minerals and damp stone, and the Victorian elite are here, wrapped in linen, dunking themselves in steaming pools to chase sleep. This is the water cure, or hydrotherapy, a craze sweeping high society. You're handed a towel and a schedule of soaks, wraps, and douches. Yes, douches, that promise to wash away your insomnia. It sounds like a lot of wet work, but these aristocrats swear by it, and you're game to give it a splash. Hydrotherapy is a mainstream obsession by the 1840s, backed by doctors like James Gully, who claim water can recalibrate the body's vital forces. You start with a warm bath infused with Epsom salts, the heat loosening your shoulders as you sink in. The theory? It draws out nervous toxins keeping you awake. You're not sure about toxins, but the soak feels like a hug from a soggy cloud. The elite flock to spas like this, spending weeks, and small fortunes on regimens of baths, cold plunges, and wet sheet wraps. It's less about hygiene and more about faith in water's mystical power to fix what laudanum and magnets can't. Now the quirky bit. Some cures get downright weird. You're ushered to a sitz bath where you perch in a shallow tub, cold water chilling your hips while your feet stay toasty. The attendant claims it redirects blood flow to calm your brain. You sit there, feeling like a confused penguin, wondering who thought this was the key to dreamland. Historians still argue whether hydrotherapy's benefits were real or just placebo dressed in wet towels. The placebo camp has a point. Relaxing in a spa beats pacing your bedroom, but early studies hint water's temperature shifts might have soothed overactive nerves. Either way, you're pruning up fast. The spa's opulence is its own kind of sedative. Marble columns loom, attendants glide like ghosts, and a lady nearby hums as she's wrapped in a damp sheet like a fancy burrito. You try it too. The cold linen oddly comforting as it tightens around you. The elite love this ritual. It's social, scientific, and just exclusive enough to feel special. You overhear a lord boasting about his cure at Malvern, where he endured daily ice water douches. You wince, grateful your schedule's gentler. The whole scene feels like a mix of luxury and lunacy, but you get the appeal. After nights of tossing, who wouldn't want to drown their worries in a mineral bath? As you dry off, the spa's calm lingers, though you're not sure if it's the water or just exhaustion. You think back to the onion pillow and magnetic rods, less damp but no less strange. The elite's sleep quest is starting to look like a parade of soggy, sparkly experiments, each one a gamble on feeling human again. You step into the evening, the bath sky streaked with clouds, wondering what's next in this damp crusade for rest. Your towel's still damp, but your curiosity's wide awake. You're back in the bustling haze of 1840s London. The mineral tang of baths, spa waters fading as you step into a dimly lit apothecary shop. Shelves grown with bottles, their labels promising miracles, and the air smells of herbs and something faintly metallic. The Victorian elite swarm these places, desperate for sleep, and you're here to try their latest obsession, pills and tonics of dubious origin. A chemist in a stained apron hands you a vial of Dr. Pritchard's somnolent elixir, swearing it'll knock you out faster than a sermon. You eye the murky liquid, wondering if you're about to cure your insomnia or join the choir invisible. These sleep aids are a mainstream craze, with apothecaries raking in profits from the sleepless elite. By the 1840s, patent medicines in regulated concoctions are everywhere, often laced with opium, alcohol, or mercury. A solid fact, brands like Batley's sedative solution are household names, endorsed by doctors despite their murky ingredients. You pop a pill from another bottle, labeled lunar caustic, which the chemist claims harmonizes the nocturnal spirit. It tastes like chalk and regret, but the warmth spreading through you suggests something stronger than sugar. The elite guzzle these remedies, chasing the perfect dose that delivers sleep without the grim side effects, like, say, never waking up. Here's the quirky tidbit. Some tonics are marketed with outright lunacy. You spot Mrs. Winslow's soothing syrup, pitched for teething babies, but secretly a favorite of sleepless lords. Its secret, a hefty dose of morphine. You pass on that one, chuckling at the thought of a baron sipping baby medicine by candlelight. Historians still argue whether these tonics were a public health disaster or a desperate response to a sleep-starved society. The disaster side has weight. Overdoses were common and addiction rampant, but you can't deny the era's desperation. When spa baths and magnets fail, a glowing bottle starts looking like salvation. You wander the shop, bottles clinking as customers barter for rest. A lady in silk buys chloral hydrate, a newfangled sedative, whispering it's better than laudanum. You remember that opium haze from earlier. Effective, but a trap. These pills feel like a gamble too. The chemist boasts his elixirs are scientifically formulated, but you spot arsenic on the shelf, labeled as a nerve tonic. You're no doctor, but that's a hard pass. The elite's faith in these cures is half hope, half hubris, their wallets open to anyone promising 8 hours of peace. You get it. Modern sleep gummies aren't exactly FDA gold stars either. The sensory pull of the apothecary is undeniable. Glass vials catch the lamplight, labels curl with Gothic script, and the chemist's patter is oddly soothing, like a bedtime story with a body count. You swallow another pill, this one guaranteed to work. Your head swims, not with sleep, but with a vague unease. The elite's quest for rest feels like a tightrope walk. Pills, waters, magnets, all part of the same frantic dance. You step back into the London night, the shop's glow fading behind you. The memory of that arsenic bottle sticks, a grim reminder that some cures are worse than the sleepless nights they aim to fix. You're weaving through the foggy streets of 1840s London, the bitter aftertaste of that somnolent elixir still lingering, when you're ushered into a velvet-draped parlor. A man with piercing eyes and a pocket watch sways before a small crowd of bleary-eyed aristocrats. This is a hypnotism session, the latest craze among the elite chasing sleep through mesmerism. You take a seat, the air heavy with incense and anticipation, as the hypnotist promises to guide you into a trance deeper than any laudanum dream. You're skeptical. Can a swinging watch really outdo pills and baths? But the Victorians are hooked, and you're ready to be swayed. Hypnotism, or mesmerism, is a mainstream sensation by the 1840s, rooted in Franz Mesmer's theories of animal magnetism. A solid fact. Pioneers like James Braid, the father of modern hypnosis, argue it can calm overactive minds, making it a go-to for insomnia. You fix your gaze on the watch as the hypnotist's voice drones, low and rhythmic, urging you to sink into repose. Your eyelids flutter, not from magic, but from the sheer monotony of his patter. The elite love this. Duchesses and earls flock to sessions, hoping to be mesmerized into slumber. It's less about science and more about theater, but the promise of effortless sleep is catnip to the sleepless. Now, the quirky tidbit. Some hypnotists claim they can project sleep across rooms, no watch needed. You overhear a lady swear her butler was tranced into snoring from the next room, mid-polishing silver. You stifle a chuckle, imagining a parlor full of napping servants, all thanks to a hypnotist's mystic vibes. Historians still argue whether mesmerism's effects were psychological or just well-acted exhaustion. The placebo camp has a strong case. Sitting still in a quiet room is sleepy enough, but early experiments suggest hypnosis could slow heart rates, hinting at real calming powers. You're just glad nobody's trying to project you into a coma. The parlor feels like a stage set for dreams. Candles flicker, casting shadows on brocade walls, and the hypnotist's voice is a velvet hum, like a lullaby for grown-ups. You notice a lord nodding off, his monocle slipping, and wonder if it's the trance or just boredom. The elite's obsession with mesmerism makes sense, though. Unlike arsenic-laced tonics or soggy spa wraps, this cure feels modern, almost magical, a way to tame the mind without risking your liver. You lean back, letting the watch's swing blur, and for a moment, you're drifting, the room fading. It's not sleep, but it's close, and you get why these sessions are packed. As the session ends, you blink back to reality, still awake but oddly relaxed. The hypnotist bows, the crowd murmurs approval, and you step into the chilly London night. The memory of that swinging watch sticks, a softer echo of the magnets and pills you've tried. The elite's sleep chase is starting to feel like a carousel of hope. Each new cure spins them closer to rest, or maybe just deeper into delusion. You think back to the onion pillow, the spa's wet sheets, and smirk. At least this one didn't leave you smelling like a salad or shivering. The night stretches on, and you're curious what's next in this restless quest. You're slipping through the gaslit haze of 1840s London, the hypnotist's droning voice still echoing, when you're invited into the private chambers of a wealthy earl. His bedroom is a fortress of opulence, designed to cradle the sleepless elite into rest. You stand in a room that smells of polished wood and rosewater, its massive four-poster bed draped in velvet. The kind of setup that screams, sleep should be easy here. But for the Victorian upper crust, no expense is spared to make their bedrooms sanctuaries against insomnia. You're about to explore these lavish sleep havens, wondering if a fancy mattress can outdo mesmerism's sway. The elite's obsession with perfect bedrooms is well documented. A mainstream fact, architects like Charles Barry, fresh off redesigning the Houses of Parliament, consult on private homes, crafting sleep chambers with scientific precision. You run your hand over the bed's silk sheets, cool and heavy, designed to regulate body heat. The room's windows are double-glazed to muffle street noise, and a screen of embroidered damask blocks drafts. Every detail, down to the lavender-stuffed pillows, is meant to coax sleep. The Earl brags his bed cost more than a servant's yearly wage, and you believe it. This isn't just a room, it's a battleground against wakefulness. Now, the quirky tidbit. Some aristocrats go overboard with sleep tech. You spot a ventilation tube snaking from the ceiling, supposedly piping fresh country air directly to the bed. The Earl claims it purifies the lungs for deeper rest. You take a whiff, smells like London fog to you, and chuckle at the thought of a pipe solving insomnia. Historians still argue whether these bedroom gadgets were practical or just status symbols. The status side has traction. Fancy rooms were as much about bragging rights as sleep, but better air and quieter spaces likely helped. You're just glad the tube isn't pumping in eau de Thames. You wander the room, marveling at its excess. A marble wash stand holds a crystal ewer for pre-bed face washing because unclean pores supposedly agitate the mind. A mechanical clock plays a soft chime to signal repose, though its ticking makes you twitchy. The Earl's valet shows you a hidden panel where scented coals glow, warming the bed without smoke. It's like stepping into a fairy tale, except the dragon is insomnia, and no one's slaying it. The elite pour fortunes into these rooms, believing design can conquer their restless minds. You get the appeal. Your own bedroom could use a velvet upgrade, but you suspect even this splendor can't silence a racing brain. Lying on the bed, you sink into its feathered depths, the lavender pillows faintly fragrant. For a moment, you're lulled, the room's hush wrapping you like a cocoon. But then you remember the Earl's tired eyes. He's as sleepless as anyone. You think back to the hypnotist's watch, the spa's wet sheets, and smirk. All the silk in London can't match a good night's rest. The elite's quest feels more desperate now. Their gilded bedrooms a beautiful dead end. You rise, the floorboards creaking, and step back into the night, curious what other tricks these aristocrats have up their embroidered sleeves. You're gliding through the opulent haze of 1840s London, the Earl's lavish bedroom still vivid as you sit down to a peculiar dinner in a grand dining hall. The table groans with dishes, but this isn't just a meal, it's a carefully curated menu the Victorian elite swear will usher them to dreamland. You're handed a plate of boiled mutton and a glass of warm milk, the kind of fare that supposedly soothes the nerves and invites sleep. The chandelier glints above, and the other guests, all bleary-eyed aristocrats, nod sagely as they chew. You're skeptical. Can food really fix insomnia? But you dig in, ready to taste the elite's sleepy cuisine. Diet is a big deal for the Victorian upper crust, with doctors preaching its power over health. A mainstream fact. Physicians like William Prout publish guides claiming specific foods can calm the animal spirits and promote rest. You sample the mutton, bland but tender, paired with a side of stewed lettuce, which the host insists quiets the brain. Warm milk follows, laced with a touch of honey, because cold drinks shock the system. It's not gourmet, but there's a cozy logic to it. Soft, warm foods feel like a hug from the inside. The elite obsess over these menus, believing every bite is a step toward slumber. Now the quirky tidbit. Some foods are downright odd. You're offered a slice of brain cake, a pudding made from calf's brain, touted as a nerve tonic for sleep. You take a tiny bite, slippery, faintly nutty, and decide one's enough. Another guest swears by eating raw onions before bed, claiming they purge wakeful humors. You flash back to that onion pillow, grinning at the elite's onion obsession. Historians still argue whether these diets worked or were just fussy placebos. The placebo side's strong. Comfort food can relax anyone. But some foods, like milk's tryptophan, might have nudged the brain toward rest. You're just glad brain cake isn't trending today. The dining hall hums with soft clinks of silverware and murmurs about digestion. A lady across the table nibbles arrowroot biscuits, insisting they settle the stomach for sleep. You try one, crumbly, tasteless, and wonder if boredom is the real sedative here. The elite's faith in food feels like another chapter in their sleep saga. Alongside magnets and spa baths, you sip the milk, its warmth spreading, and admit it's calming, like a liquid lullaby. But the mutton sits heavy, and the brain cake memory lingers like a bad dream. The Victorians' logic isn't crazy. Your own late-night snacks aren't exactly rocket science. But you're not convinced a perfect menu can silence a restless mind. As the meal ends, you lean back, full but still awake. The host drones on about alimentary balance, and you stifle a yawn. Not from sleepiness, but from his lecture. You think back to the Earl's velvet bed, the hypnotist's watch, and smirk. The elite's quest for rest is a buffet of strange ideas, and this meal's just another course. You step into the cool London night, the taste of milk lingering, curious what's next in this endless chase for a good night's sleep. You're strolling through the candlelit glow of 1840s London, the faint taste of that bizarre brain cake still haunting you, when you're drawn to a small, elegant drawing room. A quartet of musicians, violin, harp, and two soft voices, fills the space with a melody so gentle it feels like a caress. This is no ordinary concert, it's a bespoke performance of lullabies crafted for the sleepless Victorian elite. You settle into a plush chair, the notes washing over you, as the aristocrats around you close their eyes. hoping music will finally deliver the rest that food and fancy bedrooms couldn't. You're curious. Can a tune really lull you to dreamland? Music as medicine is a mainstream practice in the Victorian era, rooted in the belief that sound can soothe the soul. A solid fact. Doctors like James Clark, physician to Queen Victoria, prescribe harmonious melodies to calm nervous disorders, including insomnia. You listen as the harpist plucks a slow, rippling tune, each note deliberate, like drops of water in a quiet pond. The singers hum a wordless refrain, their voices blending into a warm, hypnotic drone. The elite adore these performances, hiring musicians for private bedtime concerts or buying sheet music for soporific airs. It's extravagant, but you feel the pull. The music's softness is like a blanket for your brain. Now, the quirky tidbit. Some lullabies come with wild claims. You're handed a program touting a song that aligns the body's ethereal vibrations to induce sleep. The composer, a self-styled oral physician, insists it's based on planetary harmonics. You smirk, picturing Venus strumming a cosmic harp, but the tune's oddly compelling, slow, repetitive, almost trance-like. Historians still argue whether these musical cures worked or were just pricey ambiance. The ambiance side's strong. Soft music can lower heart rates, but the elite's faith in vibrational nonsense shows their desperation. You're just glad nobody's charging you a shilling to align your chakras with a fiddle. The room feels like a cocoon, its brocade walls soaking up sound, the candlelight dancing to the violin's sway. A lady nearby sways gently, her fan stilled, while a lord's snores punctuate the melody. Success, maybe. You close your eyes, letting the notes carry you, and for a moment you're drifting, the world fading like a half-remembered dream. The elite's love for these lullabies makes sense. Unlike arsenic tonics or soggy spa wraps, music feels safe, even magical. You think back to the mutton dinner. The earls piped in air and chuckle softly. This cure's easier to swallow, though you're not sure if it's the harp or just exhaustion finally winning. As the music fades, you blink back to the room, still awake but calmer, the melody lingering like a whisper. The musicians bow, the aristocrats murmur praise, and you step into the chilly London night. The memory of that planetary tune sticks, a charming footnote in the elite's sleep chase. Their quest feels like a symphony of strange ideas, each cure a different note, none quite hitting the mark. You're starting to wonder if rest is less about harps and more about letting go. But the night's not over, and there's more to explore in this restless city. You're wandering the shadowed streets of 1840s London, the soft echo of that harp lullaby fading, when you're ushered into a cluttered study that smells of ozone and singed wires. A wild-eyed inventor gestures to a contraption on his desk, a tangle of coils, dials, and a pillow rigged with electrodes. Welcome to the world of electric sleep machines. The Victorian elite's latest gamble to shock their way to slumber. You eye the device, half expecting it to zap you into next week, but the aristocrats are buzzing with excitement, ready to plug in for a nap. You're skeptical. Electricity for insomnia? But you're here to try it. Electricity is the era's shiny new toy, and by the 1840s, it's infiltrating medicine. A mainstream fact. Pioneers like Goldingberg experiment with galvanic currents to treat nervous disorders, including sleeplessness. You sit as the inventor attaches wires to the pillow, claiming low-voltage pulses will stimulate reposeful brain waves. He cranks a lever, and a faint hum fills the air, your scalp tingling slightly. It's not unpleasant, more like a cat purring against your skull, but sleep feels miles away. The elite love these machines, shelling out fortunes for personal, electrotherapeutic kits, convinced science will solve their restless nights. Now, the quirky tidbit. Some devices are pure theater. You spot a voltaic sleep crown, a headpiece studded with copper rods, promising to channel lunar currents into dreams. You try it on, feeling like a budget Zeus, and the inventor's earnest explanation, something about cosmic polarity, makes you bite back a laugh. Historians still argue whether these gadgets had any real effect or were just electrified placebos. The placebo side's compelling. Tingling can feel relaxing, but early studies suggest mild currents might have calmed overactive nerves. You're just glad the voltage is low. Nobody needs a lightning bolt to the noggin at bedtime. The study crackles with energy, literal and figurative. A countess nearby giggles as her own device buzzes, swearing she feels drowsy already. You're not buying it, but the atmosphere, lamplight glinting off brass, the inventor's fervent patter, is oddly soothing. Like a steampunk bedtime story, the elite's faith in electricity mirrors their love for magnets and mesmerism. It's new, it's scientific, it's theirs. You think back to the harpist's melody, the spa's wet sheets and smirk, same desperation, shinier package. The tingling pillow hums on, and you close your eyes, not sleepy but curious, wondering if this is progress or just another spark in the dark. As the session ends, you detach the wires, still wide awake, but mildly amused. The inventor promises results with practice, and you nod politely, stepping back into London's fog. The memory of that voltaic sleep crown lingers, an absurd emblem of the elite's sleep chase. Their quest feels like a circus now, each act flashier, none delivering the grand finale of rest. You're starting to suspect the problem's not the cure but the pressure to find one. The night stretches on, and you're ready to see what other wild ideas these aristocrats have wired up. You're weaving through the gaslit murk of 1840s London, the faint buzz of that electric sleep pillow still tingling in your memory when you step into a cozy apothecary's back room. The air is thick with the scent of dried leaves and simmering pots, and a kindly herbalist hands you a steaming cup of slumber tea, her eyes twinkling with promise. The Victorian elite are mad for herbal remedies, brewing concoctions from old recipes to tame their sleepless nights. You take a cautious sip, the bitter warmth coating your throat, and wonder if these plants can deliver the rest that electrodes and lullabies couldn't. You're ready to dive into the elite's leafy obsession. Herbal medicine is a mainstream lifeline in the 1840s, blending folk wisdom with new botanical science. A solid fact: apothecaries, like those run by the Society of Apothecaries, sell standardized blends, with herbs like valerian and chamomile prescribed for insomnia. You swirl the tea, catching notes of lavender and something earthier. Valerian root, the herbalist explains, to quiet the mind's chatter. It's not bad, like drinking a garden, and the warmth soothes your nerves. The elite brew these teas nightly, their silver teapots steaming with hope, believing nature holds the key to dreamland. You get the appeal. Plants feel safer than arsenic tonics or electric shocks. Now, the quirky tidbit. Some herbs come with wild lore. The herbalist slips you a pinch of mugwort, whispering it summons prophetic dreams. If tucked under your pillow, you raise an eyebrow, picturing a duchess snoring atop a herb sachet, dreaming of tomorrow's stock prices. You skip the pillow trick but sip a mugwort-laced tea, its grassy bite making you wince. Historians still argue whether these herbal cures worked or were just fragrant placebos. Science backs valerian's mild sedative effects, but mugwort's dream magic is likely bunk, though you're half hoping for a vision of that voltaic sleep crown. You chuckle, glad nobody's brewing eel fat tea. The room feels like a witch's den, in the best way. Jars of dried blooms line the walls, a fire crackles, and the herbalist's soft patter is a lullaby of its own. A lord nearby sips his own blend, swearing it's better than laudanum. You think back to that opium haze, its risky pull and nod. Tea's a gentler gamble. The elite's love for herbs isn't just about sleep, it's about reclaiming control, crafting rituals from nature's bounty. You take another sip, the bitterness growing on you, and feel a flicker of calm. It's not sleep, but it's close, like a deep breath in a stormy world. As you finish the cup, the herbalist offers a sachet to brew at home, her smile warm but knowing. You step back into London's chill, the tea's heat lingering in your chest. The memory of mugwort's dream talk sticks, a whimsical note in the elite's endless sleep chase. Their quest feels like a patchwork now. Herbs, harps, electric buzzes, each a stitch in a blanket that never quite warms. You're starting to wonder if rest is less about potions and more about peace. But the night's alive, and there's more to uncover in this restless city. You're drifting through the fog of 1840s London, the earthy tang of that slumber tea still on your tongue, when you're invited into a physician's office that feels more like a gentleman's club. Leather chairs, a ticking clock, and shelves of medical tomes surround you as a stern sleep doctor peers over his spectacles. These early neurologists, rising stars among the Victorian elite, claim to unravel the mysteries of insomnia with science, not herbs or harps. You sit, ready to confess your sleepless nights, curious if this new breed of expert can outsmart the mugwort and electric pillows of the past. The air hums with promise, and you're eager to see what's next. By the 1840s, neurology is emerging as a field, and doctors specializing in nervous disorders are the elite's new hope. A mainstream fact, figures like William Hammond, though more prominent later, reflect the era's growing focus on brain science, with doctors prescribing rest cures and lifestyle changes for insomnia. The physician scribbles notes as you describe your tossing and turning, then suggests a regimen: no tea after noon, daily walks, and cerebral repose through light reading. It's sensible, almost boring. But that's the point. Calm the mind, not zap it. The elite flock to these experts, trading laudanum's haze for structured advice, hoping discipline will unlock sleep. Now the quirky tidbit. Some doctors get weirdly specific. Yours insists you sleep with your head facing north to align with the Earth's magnetic field. You bite back a laugh, picturing a baron rearranging his bed like a human compass. You try lying that way on a couch, feeling absurd but oddly intrigued. Historians still argue whether these early neurologists were pioneers or just repackaging old ideas with fancier jargon. The pioneer side has merit. Lifestyle tweaks can't help, but magnetic sleeping sounds like that voltaic sleep crown in a lab coat. You're just glad nobody's suggesting brain cake as a side dish. The office is a study in calm. Polished wood, a faint whiff of ink, the doctor's voice steady as a metronome. A countess in the waiting room clutches her prescription for nerve tonic, probably just flavored water, swearing her new doctor's a miracle. You think back to the herbalist's tea, the hypnotist's watch, and smirk. Same hope, New packaging. The elite's trust in these sleep doctors feels like a shift, though, from mystical cures to something closer to science. You nod as the physician drones on about neural overload, his words lulling you more than his advice. It's not sleep, but it's a start, like a map to a place you might actually reach. As you leave, the doctor hands you a pamphlet on hygienic sleeping, its pages crisp with rules. You step into London's chill, the clock tower chiming distantly. The memory of that north-facing nap sticks, a funny footnote in the elite's restless saga. Their quest feels less frantic now, as if science might tame the chaos of magnets and mugwort. You're starting to see their insomnia as a mirror. Your own late-night scrolls aren't so different. The night stretches on, and you're ready to uncover the final quirks of this sleepless world. You're meandering through the misty streets of 1840s London, the sleep doctor's pamphlet tucked in your pocket, when you're drawn into a candlelit parlor where a group of aristocrats huddle, whispering about charms and rituals. This isn't science or medicine. It's the Victorian elite's secret stash of superstitions, folklore remedies they cling to when teas and doctors fail. You're offered a sprig of rosemary to tuck under your pillow, promised it'll banish wakefulness. The air smells of wax and old books, and you're curious if these odd beliefs can outdo the north-facing naps and electric buzzes you've tried. You lean in, ready to explore the elite's mystical sleep tricks. Superstitions are a quiet but real part of Victorian life, even among the educated elite. A mainstream fact, folklore collections, like those by William Hone, document widespread beliefs in charms to ward off ailments, including insomnia. You're handed a dream sachet, rosemary, thyme, and a scrap of paper with a whispered prayer, meant to guard against night spirits. The lady offering it, a viscountess with tired eyes, swears it's worked for generations. You tuck it under a cushion, half expecting a fairy to pop out. The elite mix these rituals with their modern cures, blending science and magic in a desperate bid for rest. It's charming, like a bedtime story you almost believe. Now, the quirky tidbit. Some superstitions are downright bizarre. A gentleman insists you count 9 stars backward before bed to unravel the mind's knots. You try it, squinting at the smoggy London sky, and feel more silly than sleepy. Another claims tying a red thread around your toe anchors the soul to dreamland. You pass on that, chuckling at the image of a duchess with a stringed toe. Historians still argue whether these rituals were cultural holdovers or psychological crutches. The crutch side's strong. Repetitive tasks can soothe anxiety, but stars and threads are pure whimsy. You're just glad nobody's suggesting you sleep with an onion again. The parlor glows with intimacy, its heavy drapes muffling the world outside. A lord shares a tale of his grandmother's moon bath, soaking linens in moonlight to cleanse them for sleep. You nod, picturing damp sheets glowing silver, and feel the pull of these stories. Their warmth, their hope. The elite's superstitions aren't just quirks, they're a tether to tradition, a way to feel safe in a world of factories and gaslight. You think back to the sleep doctor's rules, the herbalist's tea, and smirk. Science or spells, it's all chasing the same shadow. The sachet's scent lingers, faintly spicy, and you admit it's calming, like a whispered promise from the past. As the gathering disperses, you clutch the sachet, stepping into the cool London night. The memory of counting stars sticks, a playful echo in the elite's endless sleep quest. Their rituals, rosemary, threads, moonlight, feel like a tapestry now woven with the magnets and melodies you've tried. You're starting to wonder if rest lies not in cures, but in letting go of the chase. The city hums, but the night feels softer, and you're ready to see how this restless tale ends. You're lingering in the quiet glow of 1840s London, the rosemary sachet's faint scent still clinging to your fingers as you settle into a plush armchair in a grand library. The fire crackles softly, and the weight of all those Victorian sleep cures, laudanum, star-counting electric pillows, settles around you like dust. Tonight you're not chasing another odd remedy, you're reflecting on how the elite's restless nights left a mark, shaping the way we think about sleep today. The bookshelves loom, filled with diaries and medical tomes, and you're ready to trace the legacy of this sleepless era, from its quirky experiments to its surprising echoes in modern science. The Victorian obsession with insomnia wasn't just a fad, it laid groundwork for sleep studies. A mainstream fact, pioneers like Nathaniel Kleitman, though active later, built on 19th-century ideas about nervous exhaustion, with Victorian doctors like William Hammond noting sleep's link to mental health. You flip through a dusty journal, its pages detailing a lord's battle with wakefulness, and see the seeds of today's sleep clinics. The elite's desperation drove research. Their money funded early neurologists. Their diaries gave data. You picture a duchess sipping valerian tea, unknowingly contributing to science. Her struggle and yours, ties to modern advice, dim lights, skip caffeine, calm the mind. The Victorians weren't all wrong, just a bit weird about it. For the quirky tidbit, you find a pamphlet claiming sleep posture affects dreams, with one doctor insisting side sleeping invites melancholy. You try it, curling up in the armchair, and feel nothing but a crick in your neck. It's absurd, but it shows the era's fixation on control, down to how you lie. Historians still argue whether Victorian sleep science was progress or a tangle of half-truths. Progress wins out. Ideas about rest cycles started here. But the side-sleeping nonsense reminds you of that toe-thread superstition. You chuckle, glad modern sleep apps don't care which way you face, though they're not above their own goofy tips. The library feels like a bridge between then and now. You trace a finger over a book's spine, imagining the elite's parade of cures, the spa's wet sheets, the hypnotist's watch, the brain cake you're still trying to forget. Their quest was messy, often silly, but it pushed us to ask why we can't sleep. You see their shadow in your own late-night habits, scrolling, snacking, hoping for rest. The Victorians taught us sleep isn't just biology, it's culture, stress, a story we tell ourselves. You lean back, the fire's warmth seeping in, and feel a kinship with those restless lords and ladies, all of us chasing the same fleeting peace. As the clock ticks softer, the room grows gentler, its edges blurring. You're not in London anymore, but somewhere quieter, where the air is cool and the world feels far away. The cures fade, laudanum's haze, rosemary's spice, the hum of electric coils, leaving only a sense of calm, like a lake settling after a storm. Your breath slows, each inhale deeper, as the library's glow wraps you in a velvet hush. No need to count stars or sip elixirs now. The night is enough, its stillness a gift. Let your eyes drift shut, let the worries slip, and sink into the soft promise of rest, carried gently toward dreams.